on an acre of land with 26 fruit trees. And so that's one reason that I like Ida Culver, because we have a lot of trees in view, as well as the water, as well as the Olympics. I had a double major in philosophy and history at Whitworth College, Spokane. I was a Marine officer on Okinawa for over a year in the early 60s. Gratefully avoided getting shot at there, and came back and got a doctorate in history at the University of Washington, and have had a variety of jobs, including executive director of the State Dental Association, director of public affairs for the state bar, and state archivist. And I think that's, Julie, is enough to lay on them for now.
Thank you. How about you, Ruth?
When I arrived in Seattle in the mid-'80s, it was because I had been appointed CEO for the American Cancer Society in Washington State. I came here from Michigan after having been with the American Cancer Society there for 11 years. And I had every intention of leaving Washington after half a dozen years to return to the East Coast. But then I met George, and as a lifelong Seattleite, he wasn't ready to go anyplace. So we married 28 years ago. It was my first marriage and his second. And then we lived above Lake Washington and traded Lake Washington in for the Olympics in Puget Sound when we moved to Ida Culver House 2.5 years ago. We had spent about several years looking at 9 different properties, trying to decide where we wanted to live. And we looked at several of the senior living communities in the downtown area. We went out to Redmond, to Issaquah, Mercer Island, looked all over, and we were on a waiting list at one property, and then we discovered Ida Culver House Broadview. And we were here 1 week, and I think 2 weeks later we had moved in. But we fell in love with the property here, with the trees, the shrubs, the grounds, the pea patch. Had dinner in the dining room, and we said, where do we sign? And we moved in, and we just have not regretted it.
That is wonderful. Thank you guys very much. Next, let's have an introduction from Diana Gilmore. Hang on one second, Diana. Daniel's going to unmute you. Just one moment. There you go. You can go ahead. We can hear you now.
Well, unlike the Scots, who looked everywhere to come to reside, and I've been here 4 weeks. Oh, no, it's 8 weeks. Very good choice, except it was my daughter who found you and assured me that I would love it. And she turned out to be absolutely right, thankfully. I'm a native Californian, but I've lived a lot of places, including Milan, Italy, and Phnom Penh, Cambodia. But I'm a graduate of UCLA with a psych degree, which I always say was the most useless subject anybody could ever study. But I went on making insult to industry, God, it's one of the words I can't recall. In any case, I got my master's degree in educational psychology, and I have taught several years, 3 of those years in Italy, and I'm excited about living here because I did not know what I was getting into until I turned up on just before moving day. And as I said, my daughter looked around everywhere for me so that she could find just the right place. And obviously she did. So I'm very grateful to her.
That's wonderful. Thank you very much, Diana. Next, why don't we hear from Gloria Levin, one of our residents here. So just one second, Gloria. Daniel's going to unmute you here, just a minute. So, Gloria, if you see on your screen, there you are. Okay, go right ahead.
Okay. Hi, I'm not from Washington, but my two of my daughters have lived here for a long time. And I'm actually from Chicago originally, and I lived in Rock Island, Illinois. And my husband died 9 years ago. And I was a kindergarten teacher. And when my husband died, I had a lovely home in Minnesota. And my kids said I needed to sell it. It was too big for me. And so my daughters took me around here. And when I saw, they took me to a lot of places. But when I saw this place, I was sold. I thought, this is where I want to be. So, and I've only been here a year and a half. And I have a master's in early childhood. And I have 10 grandchildren, 8 granddaughters, and 1 grandson. And but my 2 daughters are here. My middle daughter might move out here eventually, but I love it here, and I'm never bored.
Thank you very much, Gloria. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right, so next we are going to hear from John and Donna Ephraimson. So Daniel's going to unmute you guys in just a second. There you go.
We are talk free now?
Yeah.
Oh, good. This is John. This is me. I'm Donna. And we have been happily at Ida Culver House for about 5 years. We moved here from Toledo, Ohio. Why did we move here? Grandchildren. 4 of our 5 grandchildren lived here, and we were getting older and we had no family left in Ohio. So we decided to do what we always said we are never going to do. We were never going to follow our children. No, we did love them. You know, they were wonderful children. We loved them, but we thought, we're not going to live with them. Well, no, we don't live with them. But the fact of having our children in the same city that we are, because all the years we had gone through college, they had gone through college, and staying in Toledo, Ohio, for us was marvelous. We loved it. But it wasn't for our children. And we decided they were going to move. So they did. And we were hoping they would move someplace closer than Seattle. But they didn't. They moved to Seattle. And so we had come out here a few times to visit them. And, you know, it was very nice. It was a big city, though. And we were not used to a big city, and we didn't know, how are we going to like this? So we got some publications from different places. And we went back to Toledo, and we, you know, lived there for a while. And then it was like, you know, there still is no family anywhere near us. And we decided it would be more sensible to be where somebody knows us and we know them. And so, to make a long story short, which by the way, I am sorry, I've never learned how to do that. So I can make it real short, except to say that we moved here 5 years ago, and And like most people who don't know anybody, they find somebody who really wants to show them where I'm going to love, and which is what happened. And I didn't know at that time. I was also very nervous about living. I mean, we always had our own home, and I never lived except at college with anybody else except my husband. So, but yeah, it did turn out very well for us.
Thank you very much, Donna. So I think what we'll do now is we've prepared some questions that I'm going to ask to our panelists, and they will be able to just kind of answer in their own words and in their own experience. So I think I'll start with, I think I'd like to start with Ruth and George. What I want to hear from you guys is how would you describe the culture here at Ida Culver House Broadview? And what kind of things do you think that are popular for our residents to do?
Well, I would say that one of the first things I noticed when we moved in here was that it felt almost like Cheers, the television show Cheers, and you probably all know Cheers. It's a place where everybody knows your name, and it was so impressive to us that we would walk through the halls, and even before we were wearing our name tags, staff people would acknowledge who we were, Mr. and Mrs. Scott, whatever. And we finally asked a staff person how they knew who we were. And apparently when you move in here, there is a description, an introduction with your photograph. It had to be a terrible photograph, but nonetheless, they were able to recognize us. So I would say that was the first thing. It's a very warm, welcoming culture. I always say that there is a compassionate leader at the helm of our community, because that trickles down, and all the staff people are very warm and caring. They genuinely care about seniors, and that shows with the community as well, with the residents. Over the last year with COVID, when we have been in a pretty much a stay in your apartment mode, I think that we've become stronger as a community because we respect and care about each other. And I don't know, did you also add activities?
Yeah, so just kind of chatting about what kind of activities are popular with our residents here.
Well, I'm not much for pinochle, but when the plague ends, we'll be back to having our 2 buses go downtown or on a weekly jaunt out to places like Mount Baker or to the flower fields, which are now blooming up at La Conner. There are, in the main meeting room on the first floor, we have had a number of university professors and other experts give lectures. For instance, we learned a lot about ballet and classical music from a former professor at the University of Washington. And there have been some lectures as good as any of us have ever attended when we were in college. So if there are also book clubs and different things that people are interested in. If you can't find something to do here on any given day, it's your fault.
We have an excellent, we really have an excellent in-house television channel, Channel 371. And during COVID, you could keep busy 12 hours a day if you wanted to, watching exercise programs, listening to some of the same lecturers who come onto the campus when when I can, musical programs. It's very difficult to find time to write letters or read books or whatever because we're kept so busy. We can be as busy as we want to in a variety of different ways.
Wonderful. That's a great answer. Thank you guys very much. I remember the very first day I met you guys. It's so cool that you guys are, you know, such an awesome part of our community. It's really cool. I think my next question I would like to ask Diana, because Diana, I think on our panel is our newest resident that we have here. And she definitely put the trust in her daughter to, kind of select a place that her daughter felt like she would enjoy while she was here. So Diana, my question to you is, how easy was it for you to meet new people here? Hang on, Diana, we got to unmute you again. He needs to accept it, Julie. Diana, can you accept your unmute? There you are.
Hello.
Hi. Yeah, so if you could just chat a little bit about, since you're so new, how it's been meeting new people here.
Well, it's been grand. Practically in the first week or two, I didn't have to make the least bit of effort because people would stop by, put their heads in and say, we won't stay for a minute because we know you're stacked among the boxes, which was very true. And so I met quite a few, even in the first couple of weeks that I was here, found the effort of the individuals who lived near me mainly, but even just walking in the skywalks, people will, if you're stopping there looking out, I'm looking out primarily for a bit of sun. Since I moved from Arizona, where I had lived for 20 years, I'm having a slight adjustment to the weather. Nonetheless, I found it very easy, and people like Ruth, for example, and George gave me a call and invited me up to dinner. And I've since made people, because I'm an artist and there are people who are interested in the kind of work I do. And so I'm getting to meet them, particularly since part of the incarceration will be moved on March 1st. So it's been wonderful. The ease of meeting people has been great. And I don't seem to have a lot of trouble in introducing myself, so that didn't hurt. But it's been lovely, and it made me feel at home right away. And it's not just the residents, but the staff who seem to know me, as I think Ruth mentioned. They were saying, excuse me, but aren't you Diana? Did you just move? And yes, yes to both. It has been a wonderful experience and an easy move after I've been to Washington a couple of times because I have friends here, but I do have a bit of adapting to the amount of water that's falling from the sky.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Well, it's a given, so there's nothing you can do about a given.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Diana. That was some great insight on that. Next, I would like to talk to Gloria. And Gloria, I would like to talk about resident involvement in the community. So I see you all over the place when you're out and about, and I see you smiling and talking. And I would just like to know a little bit about, how involved the residents are in this community.
Well, I've always been a people person, and I just love meeting new people. And especially I like to be a mentor to people. And I have been a mentor to several, and they've become such dear friends. And I also like to talk with people that maybe complain a little bit more And of course, I'm not a complainer, but anyway, I do, I love people, and I think that every time I see somebody new, I'm excited and I enjoy meeting everyone. This is the best place. I've met the most wonderful people. My daughters can't believe every time if they come over, they say, "Mom, you know everybody." I said, "Well, I try to be friendly."
Yeah. Would you say that it's kind of an important thing to have that mindset maybe when you're first moving in? Because I think that sometimes people can be overwhelmed when they're moving in or when they've made this decision for whatever reason it may be.
Right.
But you seem to be one of those folks that just always seems to be so positive, and I think that you're one of the people that just makes this such a bright, sunny place. So we thank you
Well,
for that, Gloria.
well, I had a wonderful father. He lived to be 95, and he could always tell a joke. And he always told me he was always proud of me and wanted me to make something of my life. And I was always friendly. Even as a kid, I would help everybody in the neighborhood if they needed food or something. My mom kept telling me I'm giving all my food away. but but I don't know. I guess it's my personality. I'm an optimist. And throughout this whole thing, I've been positive, and I look at things in a positive light. Of course, I was fortunate to be married 55 years to the most amazing man in the world. And I have 4 wonderful children and 10, like I said, 10 grandchildren. I'm close contact with my 8 granddaughters who are all over the United States. One of them is studying Mandarin China and in Taiwan.
Wow. Well, thank you so much, Gloria. I really appreciate that.
You're welcome.
I think I would kind of like to ask a similar question to John and Donna. So you guys have been here, I would say, the longest out of our panelists here. And you both are also, folks that I feel like are pretty involved in our community. I know, at least from my perspective, you have, before COVID, have allowed me to show your apartment to prospective residents. I always see you guys at dinner interacting with other people. So I guess it would be, how, of the programs and things that we do here at Ida Culver House Broadview, how easy is it for residents to get involved in things like that?
Very, very easy. In fact, one of the main things is resident council here. Every resident is automatically a part of the resident council. Ruth happens to be the president now and doing a wonderful job. The resident council is the sort of a go-between between the residents and the administration. They have a meeting every month. Brittany speaks and tells us things that are coming up and of interest to us. And then any questions that we have for Brittany or concerns are brought up there. And it's a wonderful way to keep up with what's going on and to participate in what's happening in the community. There's just all kinds of course, it's different now because we're doing this by Zoom instead of in person. But it's very, very easy to join there are so many wonderful activities that you spoke of before that you can join, and you can meet other people with the same interests. It's wonderful. Even with this, we get to know people online, which helps. It isn't as good as in person, but we're all looking forward to March 1st when things are going to get a little bit more normal. and we'll go to the dining room. And incidentally, the dining room is another wonderful place to meet people. You, in other than COVID times, it's so enjoyable to sit with people you don't know, because you find that you know them very quickly. And you're glad you do.
Well, wonderful. Thank you very much, John. That's a great answer. If we could, we are lucky enough to have our executive director on this call. So I just was hoping maybe, Brittany, if you could just say maybe a few words about the resident council, since John brought it up and we've got Ruth here, our president, just kind of comment on how that interaction between the residents and you works.
Hi, everyone. Sorry, my camera's not on today, but the Resident Council is a resident association that, like John said, Ruth Scott is the president of, but it's really a great relationship in terms of me getting feedback of what residents are wanting, what they want to make priorities, as well as me being able to share any updates that we have. So most residents will go to the resident council. The resident council will bring that feedback to myself. I have meetings with both the president and vice president, as well as the resident council board. So it's really interactive, it's really collaborative, and we've been able to do some really, really fun things. And during this COVID pandemic too, understanding what's most important for residents in terms of opening up, what people are most looking forward to, and also solidifying that communication between myself and all the residents in the community.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I think, George and Ruth, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about, you guys are reading in the chat, you know, I think that one of the things that has affected us all so greatly over the past year, obviously, has been the pandemic. So, you know, things everywhere have changed quite a bit. So I just kind of wanted to get your guys' perspective on what that's been like here, because I think that anytime I talk to anyone about the idea of moving in here, you know, they want to know how Ida Culver House Broadview is handling that. And I think with you guys being here before that happened, and then going through this and having, you know, we all just got our vaccine. So maybe just your thoughts on that.
We're going to flip a coin because we both opened our mouth at the same time. I think that Ida Culver House Broadview has become quite a model for other senior living communities. Because George and I have lived here for so many years in the community, we know people at most of the other senior living establishments, and they will frequently say, boy, Era Living has done such a fine job. We would like to have our community do the same thing, adopt some of the practices. And I think the fine job that they're referring to is the fact that we do have this in-house channel, and our life enrichment staff team have really done a great job in not only being creative in putting a lot of programs on the channel, but also listening to the residents and asking them what they want to see on the channel. They did a recent survey, I think it was a 6-page survey, and we had enough time because we were in our apartments due to COVID that we took the time to fill it out. And the life enrichment team really jumped on that. So from the standpoint of being entertained and educated, informed via the in-house channel, that's really been helpful. And as I said earlier, as a community, we've really come together, and with great respect and caring for each other. We have an almost 90% vaccine rate among staff and volunteers. our staff and residents. And I think that's pretty remarkable because we care about each other and we want to protect our health. And we celebrate for milestones that we reach. And we're really looking forward, as John said, March 1, we're going to open up a little bit, and we really, really look forward to that.
I'd like to point out very emphatically that the quality of the young people that are on the staff here, not the middle-aged ones necessarily, but the young people that are from, in a number of cases, from high schools locally, from the community college here, from the University of Washington, from Seattle Pacific University, and they are well-trained and polite, and it makes you feel like you're at a first-class hotel. And it's a marvelous, they're marvelous young people to talk with. The other thing you need to know is that they're on the west side of the building. You're about a mile away from the water, and the roads that run across the west side of the building, the hillside, are pretty much on the level, and you can have easy walks not only around the campus, but for the dozen square blocks around it. So, and there's also, we can't forget the pea patch, which is a dozen beds, 3 feet high, 12 feet long. And they provide the soil, the fertilizer, the water, the tools, and everything but the inspiration. And we can go out there during the summer and have your lunch and sit in the sun. And I forget, Arizona, you were talking about all too much rain falling, not in the middle of summer.
Thank you, guys. Those are great answers. Thank you very much. We had a question here in the chat that I thought maybe John and Donna could chat a little bit about. It says, are residents involved in the local community outside of Ida Culver? So knowing others besides the residents.
Yes, I know. Well, we're of course not natives. We moved here from Ohio, but I know that there are a lot of activities outside the community. For instance, some of us have been going to courses over at the university. They have a wonderful program there for seniors to audit courses. And of course, we get to we see our children periodically. We get to go out into the community with them. And we have had some wonderful trips with Ida Culver. I think George mentioned this earlier, where we've gone to various places within the community, and also up, we've seen the eagles and different scenic places. And of course, Ida Culver does provide us transportation to our doctors. For some reason or other, a lot of our outside relationships in the community are with medical people. And Ida Culver is wonderful in making sure that we get to where we need to be when we want to be. And they've given us all kinds of wonderful opportunities.
Go ahead, Donna.
What I want to mention is something I feel so deeply about and don't know if I'm gonna be kicked out for discussing it.
Oh dear.
If you say, maybe you better not, just say that and I will stop. But the staff here, I mean, the big people, the Julies and Brittany's, and they all know your name. They all know my name. But they know more about me than that. About 2 years ago, I don't know what happened. I was walking in my apartment from the kitchen and fell. I haven't fallen since I was an adult. I couldn't get up. John was there, but he was afraid to touch me. And the next thing I know, oh, you called the nurse.
I called
the nurses.
And they were here.
And
Louise and Joanne were here in a minute.
And everybody was so kind. And this was what, at the end of the first year, I think, that we were here. Now, a daughter who lives here is a social worker. She did not want to leave me alone at night. I mean, I wasn't going to be alone because John would have been there. But once this wonderful man gets to sleep a little bit, I could be screaming next to him and he would, not know. So my daughter realized that, about during the night. So without saying anything to me, she went down and talked with Brittany, explained to her what she didn't need to. But she wanted to know, she was going to take time off from work and could she stay here in our apartment?
And Brittany was wonderful about allowing her.
So I want you to get aside that the staff knows you and they know if you need something, you don't have to be afraid to go to somebody and
you'll get it.
If it's at all humanly possible, they will do everything they can to be of help. And that's amazed me since we moved in, and I just wanted to.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I thought of one more thing.
Okay.
When we were talking about being activities outside Ida Culver. Ida Culver is also wonderful in that they take us to symphony and opera and ballet and theater activities. Again, this is not during COVID, but they give us the opportunity to, if we have season tickets to the symphony, they arrange to take us there on those evenings. And we appreciate that so much.
Good. I'm glad that you guys are able to participate in that. I think a lot of people, that's really important to them to be able to have those options of things to do. I would like to talk to Diana. And this is, don't be mad at me, Diana, but this is a question that's not on the list. So Daniel's going to request to unmute you. So I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about, since you're such a unique case of your daughter kind of picking out your community and your apartment, I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about your apartment, what it's like, the space, the finishes. I know you have a cat So I think that that's kind of interesting for people to hear about, for residents that may want to bring their pets, which I know are really important to people. So if you could just chat a little bit about your apartment.
Oh, well, of course, you may have to stop me at some juncture. Um, I'm, I have rather large furniture that came from a house at one time and has followed me everywhere. So I've had the interesting activity of what I keep and what I send to my daughter, and or hopeful she'll take it. But I do live with two cats. One is large enough to carry me off for transportation. He's 20, he's 20 pounds, and but he's a great comfort because if I should ever get cold at night, you know that he is hugged up against you just in case he was needed. And another little cat who I was tempted to lock up in the bedroom because she's my computer cat. And anytime the computer's open, she comes and writes her own notes on the keyboard. So it's a lovely arrangement of two cat persons whom I dearly love were able to come with me, and they are as happy as can be. And I must say, um, in any need that I might have in relation to the cats, the staff and particularly have tried to work out what I conceived of as how can I make my cats more comfortable, and they've just got right in there with a pencil and kind of made that happen. So it was slight changes to the apartment. I actually have come to really love this apartment. It was a sifting through, as I mentioned before, but it is just, turns out to be just the right size, and is convenient to any need that I might have. And along that line, I'm fortunate not to need any special equipment or anything, but they all the kitchen, the bathrooms are have been conveniently made easily available to anybody in a walker or wheelchair. And let's see, what else did you want to know that I'm leaving out? I can't believe I've stopped talking so quickly.
No, you did great. No, that's a great explanation. I think that that it's a lot of the times I get people then ask about, like, is your community pet friendly? Can I bring my cat? Because I think, or my dog, or whatever the case may be. I think it's very, very important to a lot of people. And I know that even Georgia and Ruth didn't move here with a cat, but sure enough, one day there was a cat in their apartment, and she's just lovely. So I think that's just a great way to have kind of an additional companion. And I love that about our community, that we have so many people that are able to have their animals in their apartments. I think it's awesome.
It brings with us a little bit of our continuity to our previous lives, if you will, or previous
Right.
locations. And they would be very difficult to not be able to move those with us. And I've got to emphasize that the staff has been kind and thoughtful, and made it possible for two cats actually, come in and out and go outside and be in a fenced in area where they'll be safe, and they'll get to really enjoy the wonderful flowers that don't really have to be watered very often, I'm sure.
Thank you, Diana. There was a question in the chat: can I bring my 60-pound well-behaved golden doodle? And the answer is yes. We have kind of like a rules of the road for having a pet here at Ida Culver, and it's just kind of a document that you would read through and just kind of make sure that you and your pet are willing to abide by those rules. And they're pretty, they're pretty reasonable. It's nothing that most places wouldn't have in place. So I think that you know, we've got, right now, I think we have, in the past, we've had a really beautiful German Shepherd that lived here, Black Labs. We have a standard poodle that lives here right now, and a variety of other small dogs. We have visiting dogs that come in. We have a lot of family members that bring their pets here. So in my personal opinion, it just kind of livens up the place and just makes everybody's day a little bit brighter. We're right around 10 minutes left. One of the questions I wanted to ask was to Gloria. So Gloria, Daniel's going to request to unmute you, but I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about your, how you feel about the extended level of care services that are offered here. So basically, you're, like what Donna was talking about, if something were to happen, you know, kind of how you feel about being able to have assistance here at Ida Culver.
Oh, I think that's wonderful. I had a little problem over a month ago. I woke up and I couldn't walk. I found out I was dehydrated, and they immediately got me to the hospital, and I had trouble walking. I'm slowly regaining that, but I am still a little wobbly. But it's wonderful to know I had a physical therapist and an occupational therapist, and I mean, everyone was so wonderful. I don't always like to bother my daughters because they're so busy. One of them is a teacher, and I can always rely on people here. I like to be independent. And the one thing I would like to share with everyone is that I haven't changed much since COVID and what I do. I wake up very early every morning. The first thing I do is go out and get the paper, the magazine we get every day, 5 days a week. And I try to unscramble the words. And then I like to read. I'm a big reader, and I do puzzles and a lot of exercise, and the wonderful programs on our in-house channel. My favorite is Dr. Smith, who's a religion philosophy professor, because my husband was a New Testament scholar. And I sometimes feel like I'm in college, but I'm so happy that I have extra help here if I need it. But I'm trying to be as independent as I can. So far, so good.
Yeah, you've done a great job, and I think that something that's really helpful for people when they get here is to know that they can live independently, and
yes.
just having the support here of our staff if something were to go wrong, like what happened with you, where we can just kind of jump into place and help you, whether it be an acute situation or if it's something that you might need a little bit more help longer term.
Yes.
I think that having that feeling of safety of knowing that I'm independent, I'm living in my own apartment, but if something were to happen, I can get help.
Yeah, and I'm usually so healthy that when I woke up that day and I couldn't walk, I thought, what's going on? And
well, and it's scary.
It's scary.
Yeah.
But somebody was there for me, and I'm totally thankful. And of course, the people in Life Enrichment have been a joy. They're so helpful to me since day one.
Yeah,
I love them all.
Thank you very much, Gloria. Well, I encourage you guys, I will answer this question that's in the chat here. Kathy wrote us and asked, do you mean that OT and PT, so occupational therapy and physical therapy services at Ida Culver? So yes, so those services are offered here at our community. We work with a company here who can provide you those services here on campus, so in your apartment. Rehab Care Plus is the name of the company. Could you guys see my wheels turning as I was trying to remember the name of that company? Rehab Care Plus. So they have all those services that are available that you can get help with, you know, whatever the case may be. They do occupational therapy, physical therapy, and speech therapy here on campus. And they have wonderful therapists, a lot of the people that I've known for many years that work for them, and they just do a great job. So it always warms my heart when I see residents doing physical therapy, you know, walking in the hallway with one of the therapists. It's just, it's very convenient for the residents who live here, and I've seen them do so many wonderful things that, people who really needed help are able to be up and walking and hopefully independent, and it's just awesome. So I wanted to see if any of our folks that have joined this meeting have any questions for any of our residents. So you can raise your hand in the chat, or you can just type in your question to the chat and I can answer it to our folks here. Let's see, let's do one more question. Yeah, so one of the cool features that we have here is our swimming pool, and I think that a lot of folks are really focused on physical exercise and kind of getting their body moving. I know that for me during COVID, I feel kind of hunkered down and I'm not really doing much physically. So do any of our resident panelists want to speak about some of the physical exercise activities that we have here? You can just raise. Okay, Ruth.
I think that's a great question, Julie, because a word to the wise, our food here is absolutely incredible, and we joke about the freshman 20. So when the first year that you move in here, you will probably gain 20 pounds, but it's well worth it. And there are lots of exercise programs that are available. The pool, there is a small exercise room that has some equipment available. There are exercise programs when we're not in our apartments. There are some face-to-face exercise programs, but on channel 371, there's anywhere from yoga to enhanced fitness to basic exercise, lots and lots of different choices. As you get ready to move, and one thought, moving from our home was one of the hardest things we've ever done. You'll get plenty of exercise going through all of your things, and it's smarter to do it earlier than later, because you want to be in good health while you're making that transition. And then just finally, I saw somebody put in a question about juggling, and boy, we're ready for juggling.
Yeah, I think so. Oh boy. Well, thank you all so much for joining us. I think that I just so appreciate our residents sharing their experience with us here today. I appreciate all the folks that joined us to find out a little bit more about Ida Culver House Broadview. If the folks who have joined us on this meeting, if you guys have any further questions or you would like to get more detailed information, feel free to reach out to us. I'm going to ask Pam to put our telephone number in the chat and an email, so you guys can email us, ask any questions you might have. So I think that about wraps it up for us. I thank you all so much for coming. It's nice to see you, Phoebe. All right, have a good afternoon, everyone. Bye-bye.